My name my name's Teresa Snyder, and I am in Amarillo, Texas. Today is a conscious conversation, and we're going to bring a little fun to the conscious conversation. But Megan, welcome.
Thank you, Teresa, so much for having me. I'm so excited to do this today.
I am like thrilled, and I'm going to tell you that there's been a couple of people. So, Joy, she's going to catch the recap.
Yes, I love Joy. Hi, Joy.
And Joy's love her too. Mikey.
Hi, Mikey.
Yeah,
One of my
I
favorites.
know, right? Mikey's like amazing. And then
Yeah.
Carol, who you just met, is my production coordinator. So it's amazing. So Megan, I love for the guests to just edify themselves, because I think a lot of times they can do a better job and get all the right information in. So please introduce yourself.
Well, thank you. Again, my name is Megan Fenyo. I am a licensed mental health therapist. I've been a therapist for 15 years. I'm also a veteran. I was an officer in the Air Force. I'm a best-selling author. Book You Are Enough a year ago, and actually just launched the audio on Monday. So the audio's done, the audio's out. Super excited about that. So I'm a best-selling author. I have my own podcast called the Blonde Bombshell Podcast. And I also just launched this international movement, which is spreading like fire, 23 states and 9 countries. It's awesome. So that's a little bit about me.
Oh my gosh, really? When you hear those numbers?
I know, right? And I launched it 5 months ago.
Wow.
I know. It's amazing. And I'm sporting the movement shirt today, you know.
I am enough in that. Well, okay, so a couple questions about, okay, first of all, I want to acknowledge you for that list is amazing of things that you've accomplished, your experience in life, just juicy, good stuff. I acknowledge you for being part of our military.
Thank you.
It's amazing. Thank you for that. That's just some good, juicy stuff. Okay, the next question I'm just curious about. Did you have someone do your Audible version?
So I actually did it myself.
Oh my gosh, I just had a funny feeling.
Yeah, because it's, and I'm sure we'll get into this throughout the interview, but that book is my saving grace. It's literally like raw, real. I was in the midst of my own trauma when I wrote it. And so although I don't like my voice per se, like when I'm doing audio, I just felt that no one else could do it. I had to do it. So I did. I have a great guy, Richard Cruz, that has a studio a few minutes up the road from me. And so, yeah, we did it. Took about 8 hours and a couple months to get approved and up on, Audible and all of that stuff. So it just launched on Monday. So it's really exciting.
Oh, amazing. I really honestly, I had no idea. I just thought, wonder if you did it Audible, because I think your voice with your story just even puts it in wow.
Okay, there were times, I do have to tell you, because I'm sure we'll get into it, but the Mr. N chapter, which is pretty much my story, my roommate was like, are you going to cry through it? Because I've actually never read my entire book. And it wasn't until I started doing the audio that I was actually reading it. And there were a few times that I got choked up and I didn't want it deleted. Like I didn't want it taken out. Like you can kind of tell I'm struggling a little bit. And I'm just very real and authentic. And I was like, no, just leave it in. Like I want people to hear that emotion that was behind me reading that chapter for the first time.
Oh, wow. Wow. Okay, so how about this? I'm going to click on a view of Facebook just to check in with our audience, just to make sure everything is looking like it's going on as planned and as scheduled. And let's see here, do a little share. Okay, so now I want to know about your story.
I love sharing my story, which I think people are surprised by that. But, for me, my passion and my purpose is to help people believe that they're enough, with whatever they're struggling in, career, relationships, health. For so many years, I felt like I wasn't enough. So we'll jump to the juicy stuff really. Well, we gotta set the precedence before we get to the juicy stuff. But so I grew up in somewhat of a dysfunctional home, and had a learning disability. So I have an 8th grade reading level and an 8th grade math level, and was told never to go to high school or to college by my guidance counselor because I was never going to graduate, blah, 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 blah. And, then that's kind of when I started, but I didn't realize it, right? Because I was still young, the not being good enough part.
And I just want to ask you a question about that. Yeah. As you've formed this movement, are you finding, because I deal with and work with a lot of women, empowering women. I have my own story, on and on and on. Have you found that it's really a common thing that they do not feel out that they are enough? That's my question.
Oh yeah, definitely. And that's why, I started the movement, which I will definitely share.
Yeah. Well, Rachel Hollis, she is the author of Girl Wash Your Face. Are you familiar with her at all? And she, in her documentary, the shocking part about her story in the way that she tells it in the documentary is that, and I'll let everybody, I don't want to go all the way in there because I want to know about your story. She had all the women stand up and she asked some questions and people would sit down. And she asked the question, do you love yourself? And discovered that over 9 out of 10 women do not love themselves.
And it's not just women, it's men, it's, and, that's kind of what my story is about. And, why I started the movement, because when I got my master's degree and started doing therapy, and, I've been a therapist for 15 years, career-wise, I've been very blessed. And then I made the decision to commission as an officer in the Air Force when I was 33 years old. So got stationed in California and provided mental health and substance abuse treatment to active duty members. I met my now ex-husband, and the relationship progressed very, very quickly. I never was looking to get married, at that time, because I just moved to California, but I had ignored so many red flags, even as a therapist. And basically what had happened is he had an affair for 14 months of our 2.5-year marriage. And I was caught up in a very narcissistic, abusive marriage and did not have a clue. And he, kicked me out of our house twice. He had the affair. He finally divorced me in 2016. However, his love bombing and gaslighting, terms in narcissistic abuse, actually got worse the last 2 years, the 2 years after the divorce. And I stayed faithful and committed to him. I was so traumatized. I had no idea what was going on. And in February of last year, 2018, another traumatic event happened and I walked away. I was scared. I had no idea. I just remember for 6 years, I hid behind this persona that I had it all together because I had a good career. I never took care of myself. I never got the help I needed. And inside I was dying. I mean, I would be in between seeing patients, in between sessions, on the floor crying, I'm a fraud. What is wrong with me? Why would he have an affair? Why would he ask for me back? Why is it all my fault? Everything. And so it wasn't until February of last year, I walked away from him, and he, then I got myself in my own therapy, and actually started doing the work. And I had left corporate America as a therapist 2 months prior to that, and made a commitment to not return to a 40-hour work week. And so here I am, at the time, 39 years old, walked away from my 6-figure income, walked away from the one person who I believed was my soulmate, and had no idea what I was going to do with my life. I have my private practice, but I'm okay, I want to start a business, but what does that look like? And then I started writing. Never thought I would be an author. I always had it on my bucket list. I wanted to write something, but maybe an article, based on mental health or something. But I started writing. And like I said earlier, this book is my saving grace. I literally was in the midst of that trauma, walking away, trying to figure out what I want to do with my life.
Mm-hmm.
And I talk about my 5-step system that I actually worked through while I was writing the book.
Wow.
So
okay, so I want to ask a couple questions, right? Like I want to ask you a couple questions.
Yeah.
Okay, first of all, okay, so you did say you saw the red flags.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of us do see the red flags. And I think that we get our heart involved, and then our mind and our heart. It's just like, wow, oh my gosh, what am I going crazy? Is this really me? And, and then I'm going to assert that people see me, and they think they have it all. They're pretty. They've got pretty eyes. They've got I have a master's degree.
Yeah.
Wow. And then I think for me, and I was turning 39. I was turning 40. I was 39. I was turning 40. And it was just weird. Like, so 2011, my life fell apart. And it was a lot of just some of the things that you're sharing.
Mm-hmm.
As I'd been in a relationship, corporate America downsized. So I'd honestly marry corporate America. And then wow. And I had no idea to the extent of your story until now. So I'm totally touch moved, inspired, and I feel more not alone in this moment. Then and I don't know if it happens for you, but I put myself in therapy. I'm a coach. I've done all those things, but there's just these moments that those words or those old thought patterns still kind of try to sneak in.
Definitely. And as a therapist, people think, oh yeah, like you never struggle. Give me a break. Like people become therapists because we're a little crazy too. And we struggle a lot. That's what I always tell people. But I do a lot of what we call as therapists reality testing with my clients and my patients. The wise mind, staying in the wise mind, reality testing our thoughts, using visual coping skills, all of these things. Because even though I'm known like California, Michigan as the I am enough girl, I still struggle. I still struggle with it. And all of this has happened in the last year and a half. I said goodbye to him. I wrote the book, I started the movement, my podcast, I speak all over the country. I'm so blessed, but there's a lot of times where I have to take a step back and say, are you still working on yourself? Right? Because I don't want to meet someone again and fall into that same trap, which has happened, since I've walked away from my ex. So it's constantly, cognitively structuring what I'm saying to myself, because what we say to ourselves shows in our actions, behaviors, and what we do. And one of the big things for me over the last year,
that one more time, our actions,
behaviors,
and what we do, that's a demonstration in what the thoughts that we're having about ourselves.
Right. So I work with chronic pain patients as well. And so when they wake up and they have a day where there's too much pain, they say, I'm not going to do anything today. My pain is too big. Well, guess what? The pain won, right? So when I said, I'm not good enough to start my own business, my ex-husband never told me I wasn't good enough. I created that story in my mind based on his behaviors. And when I felt like I wasn't good enough, I suffered. I guarantee you my patient suffered, right? I hit it really well, but I wasn't that effective, I think, right? So we have to look at what messages are we telling ourselves. No one has ever told me I wasn't good enough. No one. I created that phrase based on the experiences that I've been in my past. And so a big piece of in my book, like one of the first steps is rediscovering yourself. So when I was going through this trauma, and anytime we go through anything that's big enough to like change our life, we have to rediscover who we are. And one of those things is rediscovering your values. I had lost every value that I could imagine in those 6 years. I had no idea who I was. And so doing that step, you know, my values now are authenticity, integrity, and honesty. I will never stand behind a camera or on stage or in interviews and act like I have it all together, because I don't.
Mhm.
And the more authentic and real I am, the toxic people, the toxic things have left my life, and the right people have come into my life because I'm being honest. And it's scary,
Mm.
right? It was so scary. I'll never forget when I pressed enter on my book to be published a year ago. And I was like, oh my gosh, like everyone's going to know my story.
Mhm.
Because I hid for like a
Oh.
year and a half. Like I didn't even say the divorce word. Like I couldn't. And the minute I did it, I'm telling you what, like life has changed immensely. And so it's redefining your values and also coming to this place of acceptance. So when I say the word acceptance, Teresa, what does that mean for you? Or like that word?
Well, and I think there's a lot of therapy I've done myself. And
Mhm.
acceptance for me is that I love myself exactly how I am.
Mm-hmm.
And there has been so many times where I put on the front. I don't want people to know. I don't want people to see the, you know, what's in the closet, all that kind of stuff. So that acceptance is being with anything and everything, all my flaws, all my scars, all my beauty. And that's only happened to me with the work in the last 8 years.
Mm-hmm.
Like true focus work. And same thing. I made up a story from when I was a little girl that I wasn't wanted. No one ever said or told me that.
Mm-hmm.
My mom got married to my dad. They're still married. They're happy. Relatively speaking, they're happy. I just had it. Oh, they were pregnant with me, so my parents didn't get to go to college. They didn't get to travel. I must have been a mistake. They
Yep.
never, ever told me I wasn't wanted or that I was a mistake in that formality of the heaviness and the label and the stuff.
And that's like the number one thing. There's so many different layers of reality testing, but that's one of the things that you need to ask yourself is who is the source that's telling you this negative story, right? So for me, I was telling, like I said earlier, myself I wasn't good enough based on his behaviors, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so for acceptance, when I talk to my clients and friends and whatever, my patients, acceptance, a lot of my patients will say, well, acceptance means I have to be okay that I'm like agreeing that it happened. And so acceptance in this realm is different. Acceptance is acknowledging, like you said, Teresa, that it happened. Yes, my ex-husband had an affair. Yes, he was abusive, blah, 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 blah. It happened. It sucked. It hurts. I hate it, blah, 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 blah. But I am closing that door, right? And I am taking back who I am, right? And I'm recreating this new story for my life.
Oh, that is good.
Because the closure was not about finding closure from him,
Mhm.
right? It wasn't. I was never going to get that closure. And I accepted that it happened. The closure for me was closing the person I became when I was with him. And the minute I said, yes, this is the person that I became when I was with him. Yes, there was some guilt and there was some shame, but you know what? I was traumatized. Like I had no idea. A therapist for 15 years, stuck in this relationship. But So I worked through that part very quickly, but I had to find the closure of the person I was when I was with him. And the minute I did, everything changed.
Yeah.
That's where, it's always been my motto, I am enough. I actually have it tattooed right here on my collarbone. And that is my passion. That's my purpose. And that's who I am. And so I love just sharing my story and the movement and all of this stuff and educating people on reality testing our thoughts and creating that new story for yourself. Acceptance does not mean you have to be okay that it happened, but acceptance is saying it happened, it sucked, I hated it, but I'm taking control and I'm finding that closure and I'm becoming a new person.
Oh, that is that's juicy, juicy, juicy. Good.
Know, right?
Like, oh my gosh. And for me, Landmark Education helped me discover what it was that I was telling myself. Also I believe in therapy, surrounding yourself with the right people, writing for healing, writing, or ride a horse too, but I mean, writing, and, gratitude lists, all those things. And here's the deal though. It's like, we can come up with some good ideas. And I'm sure you probably had clients, patients and all that have said, okay, sure, I'm ready to change. Sometimes it takes what it takes. And and people are going to probably laugh that I still watch The Bachelor.
But hey, if it's self-care and it like helps you like release stress and be happy, then who cares?
I know, right?
You can do whatever you want because you're enough. Like, who cares what they think?
Exactly. I love it. I am enough. I am enough. Well, and it's interesting because the Bachelorette season it hasn't even ended. It ends Monday. Yet there was a guy that she kept on the entire show. And again, it's reality TV. It's just, they kept saying, this is a narcissistic behavior. And she only revealed this past Monday night. She kind of had a red flag feeling. A lot of my friends that are in relationships, they kind of had a red flag feeling. By chance, do you know Amy J. Morrison from the Friend Zone?
It sounds familiar, but not off the top of my head.
Well, you and I and she, the three of us have a lot of mutual friends. She did her very first interview, and it was with me this week, all about the gaslighting from her ex-husband. She'd never told her story.
Wow, that is impressive.
Like, oh my gosh. Like, oh my gosh.
That's powerful. And, kudos to her for doing that, because the minute she did that, things are going to change for her because she was authentic and real and shared her story. And having issues with this ear thing. The right people are going to come along. And, like I said, when I pressed enter on my book, I was like, oh my gosh, like what's going to happen? And I'm actually really excited. I'm going to be speaking at the International Summit for Violence, Abuse, and Trauma in La Jolla in September. And I'm really excited because usually when I talk on stages, it's my story. And then I do a lot of, therapy stuff and reality testing and all of this stuff. But I'm actually going to be educating the attendees on narcissistic abuse because it's not talked about enough. And, you don't see the physical bruises, how you emotionally, it's so traumatic. It's so destructive. So I'm really excited because I really want to educate people about this, not just women, but, there's women that are narcissists too, know, and
exactly.
And just, because I remember my friends, they had no idea what to do. Like, they just were like, why can't you walk away? He's not like beating you up. And I'm like, no, but like, once I realized what was going on, and so they've learned so much and, they support what I'm doing and the movement and everything. And so it's really exciting. So congratulations to having her on the show and, for her sharing that story. That's
oh my God.
Amazing.
I mean, and she was on Tamara Hunter's show today also.
I love Tamara.
I know. See, and Tamara and I are just groovy great friends as well. And she interviewed Amy Morrison today. So now Amy's been doing some of the work. And again, I'm not here to tell Amy's story. I only brought it up because she did share it.
Mm-hmm.
So we can all help one another. And I'm curious, do you think, especially as a therapist, I mean, do you think that narcissists can ever recover?
I've been asked this question so many times.
I just want to hope that they can, and I'm like, dang it! I mean, no.
I'm gonna say to you that, you know, I don't hold any ill will against my ex-husband. People are like, what the heck? You know, as crazy as it sounds, like, I'm thankful for what I went through, because if I didn't, I wouldn't be here today. I wouldn't have this story. I wouldn't have this movement. So I still pray for his heart and his soul. He's not gonna change. He's not. It's just, that's him, right? Like, that's just him. And I know a lot of other people that are narcissists and they haven't, because the main issue is they would actually have to admit that they have a problem.
Yes.
And they're not going to do that. Like, you and I can sit here and say, yeah, we had a problem, and, I ignored the red flags, blah, 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 and I got help. Most narcissists aren't going to even admit that.
And it's just, and I think that those of us that end up with narcissists or have been with a narcissist at some point in our life, we want to believe that they're going to be better or do something different or change. And that's the reality, is that if anyone ever changes, whoever, whatever you're dealing with, whether it's, addiction, food, gambling, blah, 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 and being a narcissist, it still has to be up to that individual person,
right,
that they want to change and they want to get the help. And I don't know. And one of my really, really good friends is in a marriage that I just, it breaks my heart for her. And our friendship has gone awry because there was only so much listening and support I could give her.
Yep.
And then it's like, I'm drained as a friend. I'm drained. I just.
And my friend felt the same way. And I got to a point after the divorce where I hid seeing him from my friends. So he was like my drug, like, I was addicted to him, and like, I was hiding, I was lying. Yes. So when the last big incident happened, he was actually here in San Diego, because he lives up north, California, but he was actually here, and we don't need to get into that. It's in the book if you want to read it, but it was horrific. And I had to call my girlfriends, and they were like, what do you mean he was down here? Like, what do you like? And I had hid it for so long. And yeah, and my girlfriends were great, but yeah, there was just times where they had enough, and I felt stupid at times talking to him all the time. And so I just stopped. I
know. Well, that's the vicious cycle that it is. Well, because the relationship that I was in, and this is the honest God truth, and I can't believe, I just don't share this very often. There were times where I wished he would have just hit me, simply so that I would have had the evidence that it was as bad as it was. Mm-hmm. That was my sickness too, of me thinking that I'm with this guy. Can't believe I'm with this guy. He puts on such a great front. People think we're great together for the most part, but
yes.
But then my friends would hear me say, wow, we have fought 6 days in a row. And they're like, really? And I'm like, yeah, 6 days. We can't go 2 days and then there not be something. And it was always that it was my fault.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway. And so now let's get into the part about the movement. I want a copy of your book. I want a shirt. I'll order both. I want to know, what are the tools? What are the things? How can people get your book? What are some tools and content that you want to share with people, that when they watch this, that they're like, Ta-da! I have some value.
Yes. Well, first, I'll just briefly touch on the 5 stages that are in my book. And then I'll share the movement with you because that's part of the stages as well. But so the first stage, like I talked about in the is just discover your true self. I had like a brain fart there for a minute. So discover your true self. So again, like I said, when you're going through something traumatic or when, life is changing, you have to rediscover who you are. And that includes values and, all of these different things. I ask you questions. This is what I love about the book, because we all read self-help books, right? And we might highlight and write notes, and then we put it in our drawer, right?
Mm-hmm.
This book, I pose a question at the end of every chapter with pages for you to journal so you can actually start working on this. And I've had a lot of people that are like, nope. They like read the first 2 chapters and then they get to the steps and they're like, nope, not going to do it. Not going to do it. And that's okay, because you have to be ready to do it.
That's what I was just going to say. You have to be ready.
And so I just encourage them, like, we'll do it when you're ready. I do a lot of the step work with my patients and my clients. And so that's step 1. And then step 2 is visualizing your passion and purpose. So while I was rediscovering who I was, trying to find this closure from this abusive marriage, that's when I was able to start visualizing this new life for myself. I was visualizing being on stage. I was visualizing sharing my story. I was, visualizing the book being done and all of this stuff. I hadn't visualized the movement yet because that came down the road. But then I got excited, right? Because I had rediscovered who I was. The third step is what we call ground yourself. And so this really has to do with all of our negative self-talk, because when life goes good, even when life goes bad, all of these negative thoughts kind of creep into your mind. And I talk a lot about visual coping skills, where the movement comes in, but I'm going to quick do the other 2 steps and then we'll go to the movement. Step 4 is creating your strength plan. So I love to call it strength plan because my book is called You Are Enough: 5 Steps to Move from Struggle to Strength. And so your strength plan includes all of the things that you've been working on in steps 1, 2, and 3. So you're starting to visualize and you're like, oh my gosh, like I want to do this and I want to do that, but like, where do I find the time to do this? So your strength plan includes the time management, all of the coping skills that you've been using, self-care, all of the things that you need to do in order to continue to believe that you're enough, that you can do this. And so I create individual strength plans with people as well. And then the last step is strengthening your healthy habits. So this really focuses on the word complacency, because when we work through all of these steps and life is going great, we may stop doing self-care. We may stop doing the things that kept us on track because life is going good. And then when we hit a bump in the road, then we fall apart because we haven't been maintaining that strength plan and the things that we did. So I always like to say people can go back and forth from stages. Like just because you go through 1 through 5 doesn't mean that you're not going to have to go back to 1 or back to 2. And that's totally okay. So the best part, the movement. So when the book came out, it was amazing and everything took off for me. And then about 5 months ago, I was like, okay, I'm kind of getting restless. I wanted to give back, wanted to continue to share this message of being enough. And I'm like, what can I do to give back and share? So I'm a huge visual coping skill person. So think about, we have a thought that we're not enough. But we tell ourselves in our head, no, we are enough. We are enough. We are enough. Sometimes that doesn't work, right?
Exactly.
We got to get out of our head. And so that means using something visual, right? So I created these cards, and on the front it says, I'm enough. And then on the back, it has the word because. I don't know if you can see that. And then it has 3 lines right here. Okay. And so what I tell people to do is to write why they believe that they're enough. And sometimes it's hard for people to do. And so it could be as easy as, I'm enough because I got out of bed this morning. I'm enough because I'm a good mom, or I'm a good daughter, or a good father,
That's
right?
good. That's good.
Because
And it gives like, wow, because the neurons in the brain and the dopamine and just
Yeah.
fun and everything about that. Yeah, you're giving them some examples that they can, I
Yeah.
can at least say, I am enough because I woke up today or whatever. That's beautiful.
Because when people start their journey of really believing that they're enough, they can't think of anything, right? Because they're so like at the bottom. And so that's what I tell people, like,
Exactly.
just put that you got up this morning, right? And then as they work more, they're able to fill out more of the cards. So the cool thing is that people can order these cards for free, absolutely free. At my website, you get 5 of them. So I launched it 5 months ago. I have sent cards to 23 states and 9 countries. It's pretty amazing. My goal is to reach all 50 states by the end of the year. So part of the other thing is that I want people to take a selfie, which people are like, why a selfie? Well, I remember when I was going through all of my stuff, I hid, right? I hid behind makeup and hair and like acting like everything was fine. Never in a million years I think I would be doing Facebook Lives like on my page without any makeup on and my hair a mess and this and that. But once I started believing I was enough, I didn't care.
Exactly.
And so I started doing selfies. And so what people will do at every event I'm at, so this is why I'm kind of known as like the I'm enough girl, because especially in California, all the events I go to, everyone's like, do you have your cards? Do you have your cards? I take pictures of people holding their cards.
Yes.
And then I have people from all over the world send me selfies. I put them on our website, and then everyone that sends me one gets their own day on Instagram. So we have an Instagram page where we celebrate you being enough on that day if you send me the selfie. So it's amazing. If you go to the Instagram page, we've got men, we've got families. I just did an open photo shoot where anyone in San Diego could come and get their photos taken. We've had families. I have a class of kids that are holding these cards. It's just phenomenal. And so you can order 5. I mean, you can order as many as you want, but and I encourage people to give these cards to people. And then I just started the shirts. So a couple weeks ago, because I'm going to be starting I Am Enough TV. And I actually just posted this on my Facebook today. I went around San Diego with my camera guy, Richard Cruz, and literally went up and interviewed complete strangers about what it means to be enough for them. And oh my gosh, it was such an amazing experience. And so I'm posting some of those, interviews and stuff on my Facebook, but the cards are free. The shirts are available, $20. And on the back, I can't show you the back, but it just says join the movement with the Instagram page. And it's just spreading. That is my passion and my purpose. I went through all of my struggles to get to my strength, which is to help people, every single one out there, believe that they're enough no matter what they're going through in life.
Oh, wow. That is just like I'm so in awe and amazed. And I do think there's so much relatability between the two of us. And whew. So in the final part, the final portion is 2 questions. One, I ask people, what is your definition of an impactor? Because I am a finalist in the next impactor. That's the one question that I want to start with. And then another question that I like to ask is, what would you like to be acknowledged for today?
Ooh, that's a good question, because a lot of people don't like to talk about that. So
exactly.
An impactor to me is literally anyone that is authentic and real and shares their story, no matter how horrific or not horrific or whatever, to help inspire other people. So that's an impactor. It's not standing on a stage selling products. It's not standing on a stage or on Facebook saying, I have this and I'm this, and, like acting like they have it all together. An impactor is someone who shares from their heart and is authentic and real.
Wow. Yes. And I think you are an impactor. And my goal is to live into exactly what you just said, because I put it out there. I'm like, yes, this is my life. This is my messy bun. These are my roots showing. You know what I mean? Like, I haven't had a chance to go get my hair done since I've been home. All that.
Yeah.
Okay. So then the final question is, Megan, what would you like to be acknowledged for today?
I would like to be acknowledged, I think, for my values of like authenticity, integrity, and honesty. Because it's really hard at times to put yourself out there. And I've just been blessed with this story and this journey. And I always want to be authentic and real and say, I struggle, like there's days where I don't want to get out of bed. But that I'm truly real in what I do and that I have this heart to want to help people. I mean, that's what I want to do.
Yeah, the values, that you're real, that you're authentic, that you have a heart. What else?
Oh, I'm good with that.
No, really. No. Like, this is where people, like, I really, because the I Am Enough movement, I'm moved by this. And I'm serious. What else? What else would you like to be acknowledged for?
Well, I think the movement, like I said, it was as a way to give back, and, people are like, well, why don't they have to pay for the cards? And I'm like, why would they have to pay for the cards? It's a movement. And just being able to reach people and not being afraid of like what it looks like, like walking in PB, like Pacific Beach, and with a microphone, and people are like, what is going on? So I guess being acknowledged for my passion, to want to spread this movement, not because I don't get any monetary gain from this. It's just literally to spread this message, and, being acknowledged for that I don't get anything out of it, I think is important too.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. So Megan, I, am grateful to know you. I'm grateful that you are a guest on this show today. Megan, I'm grateful that I've connected because you have impacted my life, and I know you'll impact others. I want to acknowledge you for your courage. I think it takes true, authentic courage. And I want to acknowledge you for your values, that you're so willing to be authentic, you're so willing to be real, and you're so willing to be honest. And then most importantly is that you're a heart-centered person. Mm-hmm. You don't gain anything else out of this. It's your commitment to make a difference. And girlfriend, you're making a difference.
Bless you. Thank you so much for the kind words. And, you reached out to me to ask me to be on your show. Thank you so much. I'm so happy to connect. I look forward to continuing to stay in touch with you and supporting you and whatever I can do to help, you live your truth. And thank you.
You are so welcome. Thank you all. My name is Teresa Snyder. This has been a fantastic, conscious conversation with Megan Fenyo. I'm getting the book. I'm getting the shirt. If any of you found value in the content or the information shared today, or you might know of a friend that might need this story, you can even send it to them in their private messenger. Share it out. And my request, my call to action for what I'm up to in the world is that my 48th birthday is Saturday, and I'm raising money. And that I'm raising money inside of the Next Impactor movement. So this Saturday, I'm going to be doing a lot of different things to help elevate the planet. And just wow. So Megan, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you. Happy birthday. Happy birthday.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you.